There's a famine in North Korea in the 1990s that killed approximately 1 million to maybe 2 million people. Because of this, a large number of North Koreans escaped from North Korea into China, which is the only route they can go through. Unfortunately, the Chinese government has an official policy of repatriation. Once North Koreans are repatriated back to North Korea, they're tortured, they're imprisoned, they're executed. Some of them are shipped off to these political prisoner camps. HanVoice is here to bring light to the human rights atrocities and crisis that's happening in North Korea right now. I call Soul Train the movie that changed my life. I'd been engaged with North Korea, I'd studied in grad school and all that, but it was really the footage of children, taking little bits of kernels of food off the ground that really moved me.
But we started watching this documentary, and basically we just started bawling. Never had I felt so shameful as a Korean, as a Canadian, as a human being for having largely ignored this group of people.
Sylvia and I, we decided to do something about it. We did a little preliminary work, looked around for organizations that were on the ground, and we didn't find any, so we said, let's start something.
When Sylvia and Jack, I was talking to them, they had saw Soul Train, the documentary. I became immediately curious too. And so I saw it as well, and I was deeply moved, and that's when we were like, yeah, we got to do something about this.
We had our first official launch event in April of 2007. And that was screening Soul Train. It was a tremendous success. People came up to us and said this was something that was really needed.
What I saw in that documentary was heartbreaking. I was so moved.
I thought as an individual there wasn't really much for me to do. And I realized maybe it's time for me to join and also participate in a bigger movement.
While we were doing that, that's when we realized there are refugees from North Korea here in Toronto. And we're like, oh my goodness, the timing was surreal. It was quite a ride. We were in lawyers' offices translating refugee stories, delivering TTC tokens to apartments of refugees. We were doing clothing drives and assembling clothes together.
I remember my first year working with HanVoice, I got to work with this young couple from North Korea. When I met them, I just realized how like we were.
And I think that draws a kind of community out that's very unique. Kind of like a brotherhood, a sisterhood.
We realized soon after, though, that our resources were quite limited. Refugee settlement is not going to be our strength. We decided to keep in touch with other churches and community groups that can do more of that direct work while we would focus on awareness and profile raising of this issue. One meaning of Han is one, to be one voice. And the other, Han also has a deeper meaning, a feeling of just angst, anger, helplessness, us being one voice, but also a voice for that Han, that anguish.
The three main objectives we have are quite simply the ABCs. So promote awareness, act as a beginning, and to connect people.
On the political front, we've had a lot of success in building rapport with, for instance, the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration, Jason Kenney. We've had meetings with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Lawrence Cannon. We've had great support from Member of Parliament Barry DeVolen, who has tabled one of our motions. On the media front, we had an article featured in the National Post. We were featured on CBC Radio on The Current.
We created what's called the Ambassador Program. That became our platform for growth. They get immersed in the issue, we make a commitment together to advocate, and then we run off on our projects.
I joined the Ambassador Group. I was the first batch of the Ambassador Group.
We're training about 10 volunteers a month, building up the volunteer roster on that front.
As we were entering 2008 we wanted to reveal this issue more to Canadians. We came up with this new name, the Reveal 2008 campaign. So we had an event in March 2008 to really launch this Reveal campaign. A lot of preparations done.
That was the first large-scale event that HanVoice did in terms of raising awareness in Canada.
We started to do things like the conference, and I applied for the conference chair. International Conference for North Korean Human Rights and Refugees, welcoming the top NGOs, academics, and policymakers on North Korea.
HanVoice is a movement for everyone. It doesn't matter if you have a background in human rights. It doesn't matter if you have a background in corporate law.
Right now we're obviously focused on the Korean community because it is a cause that directly touches us. But I want to spread it to get all of Toronto involved and then all of Canada.
As long as there is this injustice and immense suffering in the world, the cause will continue. There will be people who will be a light to shine in the darkness.
HanVoice, in one word, is the people.
We're all volunteers. All of us are here because of the cause.
HanVoice for me has been kind of my family.
It's been like family in a good way, in that we're very natural with each other, very honest, very transparent.
We're regular, ordinary people just trying to make a difference. And when there's a group of ordinary people, you're going to have regular human things. So personality differences, people getting burnt out or disgruntled, or people not getting along. There's a beauty and a tragedy together.
There's been times where I've been frustrated. There's been times where I've been, that hero or savior side of me has wanted to come out and monopolize everything. But I've realized that true change comes in small steps.
We're real people advocating for real people.
We always have more younger people interested in it.
Even the generation that we groomed, they are now the leaders. There's even a generation below them now who are even brighter than we are, who are just even more passionate.
Fresh faces that I haven't seen before who are ready to take the organization to a new level.
HanVoice!
My father was born in North Korea, and during the Korean War, his family was lucky enough to get on one of the last departing UN ships. Most people did not make it. I just realized that that could have been me.
The North Korean crisis is probably one of the least well-known issues out there.
I'm shocked how many times I talk to colleagues and friends and family who don't know anything about the North Korean crisis. HanVoice largely plays a role for awareness raising and recognizing and acknowledging together as society that what's going on is wrong.
It's so imperative that people like HanVoice continue to work to uncover what's happening right now. If people don't know, people can't act.
You know, for us, we're sitting in this comfortable room talking about them, but for them, it's really a matter of life and death.
We need support. We need people to not only volunteer their time, and if they can't do that, volunteer what they can. In-kind donations, money, things like that as well. Because without it, we cannot help the North Korean people.
Any choice that we make can impact someone on the other side of the world. So I would just encourage anyone just to think about their choices and know that it can spread a lot further than their immediate surroundings.
HanVoice is made up of multiple people coming together, and we cannot be the heroes, we cannot be the saviors, but we can choose to do heroic things, and we can choose to do those little things that add up and together collectively make a difference.